I know thy works, and tribulation, and poverty, but thou art rich. Welcome to the Black Excellence and Abundance Channel. Sarah Rector, born March 3rd, 1902, was an African American member of the Muskogee Creek Nation, best known for being the richest colored girl in the world, or the millionaire girl, a member of the race. Sarah was born near the all-black town of Taft, located in the eastern portion of Oklahoma, in what was then Indian Territory. She had 5 siblings. Her parents, Joseph Richter and his wife, Rose McQueen, both born in 1881, were African descents of the Creek Nation Creek Indians before the Civil War, and which became part of the Creek Nation after the Treaty of 1866. Being descendants of the Creek Nation, they and their descendants were listed as freemen on the Dawes Rolls, which entitled them to allotments of land under the Treaty of 1866 made by the United States with the so-called 5 civilized tribes. Consequently, nearly 600 black children, or Creek freemen miners as they were called, were granted a reparation of 160 acres of land each. Could you imagine what they could have done with 40 acres and a mule? This was a mandatory step in the process of integration of the Indian Territory with the Oklahoma Territory to form what is now the state of Oklahoma. Sarah's father, Joseph, was the son of John Rector, a Creek freeman. John Rector's father, Benjamin McQueen, was a slave of Raleigh Grayson, who himself was a Creek Indian. John Rector's mother, Molly McQueen, was a slave of Creek leader Apollo Yahola, who fought in the Seminole Wars and split with the tribe, moving his followers to Kansas. The parcel of land allotted to Sarah was located in Greenpool, 60 miles from where she and her family lived. It was considered inferior, unfertile soil, not suitable for farming, with better land being reserved for white settlers and members of the tribe. The family lived simply, but not in poverty. However, the $30 annual property tax on Sarah's parcel of land was such a burden on the family that her father petitioned the Muskogee County Court to sell the land. The petition was denied because of certain restrictions placed on the land, so he was required to continue paying the taxes. To help cover this expense, in February 1911, John Richter leased Sarah's parcel of land to the Standard Oil Company. In 1913, the independent oil driller B.B. Jones drilled a well on this property, which produced a gusher. A gusher is a rush of oil that comes out of the ground once the drilling starts. Black gold, oil that is, Texas tea. This gusher began to bring in 2,500 barrels of oil a day. Rector began to receive a daily income of $300 from this strike. The law at that time required full-blooded Indians, black adults, and children who were citizens of Indian Territory with significant property and money to be assigned well-respected white guardians. Folks, could you believe that? Now all of a sudden, she's rich, and she had to be appointed a white guardian. What a shame. What a shame. As soon as Rector began to receive this windfall of money, there was pressure to change Rector's guardianship from her parents to a local white resident named TJ or JT Potter, an individual known to the family. Rector's allotment subsequently became part of the Cushing Drumright oil field. In October 1913, Rector received royalties of $11,567. Today, it would be worth over $304,000. As news of Rector's wealth spread worldwide, she began to receive requests for loans, money, gifts, and marriage proposals, despite the fact that she was only 12 years old. Given her wealth, the Oklahoma legislature declared her to be a white person so that she would be allowed to travel in first class accommodations on the roadway as befitted her position. In 1914, an African American journal, the Chicago Defender, began to take an interest in Rector, just as rumors began to fly that she was a white immigrant who was being kept in poverty. The newspaper published an article claiming that her estate was being mismanaged by her family and that she was uneducated and had a poor quality of life. This caused national African American leaders Booker T. Washington and W.B.E. Du Bois to become concerned with her welfare. In June of that year, a special agent for the NAACP, James C. Walters Jr., sent a memo to Du Bois regarding her situation. Walters had been corresponding with the Bureau of Indian Affairs and United States Children's Bureau over concerns regarding the mismanagement of Rector's estate. He wrote of the white financial guardian, "Is it not possible to have her cared for in a decent manner by people of her own race, instead of by a member of a race which would deny her and her kind the treatment according a good yard dog?" This prompted Du Bois to establish the Children's Department of the NAACP, which would investigate claims of white guardians who were suspected of depriving black children of their land and wealth. Washington also intervened to help the Rector family. In October of that year, she was enrolled in the Children's School, a boarding school at the Tuskegee Institute in Alabama, headed by Washington. Upon graduation, she attended the institute. Rector was already a millionaire by the time she turned 18. She owned stocks, bonds, a boarding house, businesses, and a 2,000-acre prime river bottomland. At that point, she left Tuskegee with her entire family, moving to Kansas City, Missouri. She purchased a house on 12th Street, which is still there and known as the Rector House. She soon married a local man, Kenneth Campbell, and from this union she had 3 children, all sons. Miss Rector lived a comfortable life, enjoying her wealth as she should have. She had a taste for fine clothing and fast cars, and she was known to host frequent gatherings at her home for the leading members of the nation's African American community, but also was later remembered for sending her chauffeur to drive the children of the neighborhood to school. Sarah Rector, the richest young black girl of her time.
Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And remember,
Thou art rich.